Hi.
Hi,
Hi, Karen.
Hi, Leonard.
The only one we're waiting for is Richard. We do have a quorum of the RDC. So I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We're a minute early, but Jeff, Mr. Secretary, do you want to take the roll call for us?
Sure, I'm here. Ms. Uselak,
I am here.
Mr. White,
Here.
Mr. Hardaway's connecting. We'll give it a second here. Richard, can you hear us? All right, Richard is here, and then yourself, Mr. President.
At present, we have a quorum. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, the accounts payable register voucher approval for December 22nd, and approval of the meeting minutes from December 8th. What's the pleasure?
Motion.
So moved. So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Uselak, seconded by Mr. Minchuk to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have no old business, Mr. Reardon?
No, we do not.
All right, we'll jump into new business. We have a presentation, and I think I've talked to some of you about this, Bob and I. This is an annual meeting that the Redevelopment Commission needs to have, a public meeting where we instruct the other 4 taxing districts that are affected by the Broadway TIF, the Mississippi Street TIF, and the Merrillville Road TIF, that we intend to collect 100% of the tax revenue in those 3 TIF districts. So with that being said, Bob, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, as Sean said, back in 2018, legislature passed a bill that requires all redevelopment commissions in the state, be it city, county, or town, to provide to impacted taxing units within their allocation areas certain information about their TIF districts. Primarily, if there was a budget, present the budget, any long-term plans, and what the impacts were. There wasn't a whole lot of direction as to what that all meant. It just said you need to have this annual meeting. So what I've done is I've put together a summary. I provide like almost a 30-page, really detailed financial report that we've gone through a couple times. And so I've tried to summarize that, and really it's for the education of those impacted taxing units. I don't know if any of them are in attendance here today, but if you want to run through these, the first page just outline, and I don't know, Pat, does everybody have a copy?
You're muted, Pat.
You're muted, Pat.
They should have. They were electronically forwarded then in the hard copies.
Okay. So the first page is really just kind of the summary of the act that was passed. The second page is the allocation area summary. And this will outline all of the allocation areas within the town of Merrillville with some historical information, when they were created, the base date, which is the initial pay year, and then their termination date. So you'll see that in some of these areas, yet in the 20s here, 2027, some of these areas are going to start to terminate according to state law. And then those incremental assessed values will be released back to all the impacted taxing units, including the town. We created 2 recently, the Interstate 65 State Road 30 allocation area and the Fieldhouse allocation area. They, by their terms, do not have a termination date. If and when we would ever pledge tax increment revenues to a debt issuance, then that would start a 25-year clock. If we never pledge those revenues, then of course, those will go without termination until that point in time. So we have the 3 primary areas, kind of the Broadway, Century Plaza, and the Merrillplex that we've grouped together. The Merrillville Road allocation areas and the Mississippi Street allocation areas. The only thing that we did recently with these original areas was that we changed out where the community center is from, it was previously in the Century Plaza Broadway allocation area. It's now in the Merrillville Road allocation area, as we determined that we would use any of the excess Merrillville Road tax increment to help supplement the debt service on those community center bonds issued by the redevelopment district.
Okay, Bob, when Pat sells the field house, can we get rid of that allocation area when we pay off that debt, that whatever it is, 900,000 or 850,000 with the sale proceeds? We're going to eliminate that bond issue. Can we get rid of that allocation area next year?
Sure.
Okay.
We could get rid of it. We could actually keep it in place and determine just to pass back the assessed value until we would decide we wanted to have it. We would have all options available.
Okay.
Hey, Bob, I have a question. In the terms of when we notify the other taxing districts that we're going to collect 100% of the assessed valuation, how would that impact them at all, or we're just doing what the law says just to notify them?
Well, and so, Counselor, that actually happens in July. So in July of every year, we would have to make that determination. Really, at this point in time, by collecting 100%, you're not changing any of their financial position really at all. There may be a couple funds that they could bring in some additional revenues, but because most of their funds are levy driven, what we would be doing is increasing the assessed value, decreasing the tax rate. So it could have an effect in circuit breaker, but
And keep in mind, members, RDC members, we still give back. One of the taxing districts is Merrillville, is the school corporation. You know, they get 51% of our money. We have agreed through an agreement to give them back approximately $325,000 a year for a grant program to be run by the Merrillville Community School Corporation. So they are getting back. They had questioned us, Leonard.
Okay.
God, Bob, this has been about 6 years ago, I think, isn't it, or longer?
yeah,
They came back and said, by statute, we can ask for 15% of your draw. And Bruce and Bob and Joe, I don't think Joe was the attorney, might have been Buscemi. We drew up an agreement where we would give them money out of the 3 TIF districts, totaling $325,000 to do career counseling. It's a grant program that's run by the Merrillville School Corporation. So that taxing district actually does get some money back every year from the 3 TIF districts.
and Counselor White, just to add on to that, that's not a situation where we're releasing assessed value where everybody shares. When we talk about giving the school district 15%, those are real dollars that they get 100% of. So it's a big benefit for the school districts. And obviously every redevelopment commission has the option to do that. Not every redevelopment commission does that.
So basically, the law just states that we have to notify them this is our intent.
Yes, and we'll do that in July. We'll do it by July. We'll make that determination.
Okay, thank you. No more questions on that.
Okay. The next page is really just a page of fund balances for each of the various allocation areas, and you'll see within each allocation area there are multiple funds, whether it's an accumulation of TIF for projects or for debt service or debt service reserve accounts. So as you see debt service reserve funds in these accounts, those dollars are being held to make the last debt service payments on bonds that had been issued in each of the allocation areas. So this is just something that kind of gives you an idea of the money that we're holding for these TIF districts. The town had been very prudent in holding back some of these funds, and never tell Jim Bennett I said this, but I think he always made you hold back more funds than he needed to, which, as it turned out, was very beneficial when we had the Meyer appeal win.
Mm-hmm.
We come up with $2 million in one day to refund to them. We had healthy funds at that time, so we were able to withstand that appeal and continue on as normal.
Okay. Do we need any type of formal action, Bob? Any kind of motion from the membership on this annual meeting, or is it just documented? I know Rick records all these Zoom calls that we have, both on the RDC and the council. So there is a electronic version of this. If anyone questions or wants to know when did we have the meeting, we've got that documentation.
Right. No formal action. This is your report to the taxing units, and you
Okay.
nothing to approve.
All right.
I'll speed it up a little.
Bob, do we entertain public comment from the taxing districts though?
If anybody's there and wants to make a comment, sure.
Okay.
Is there anyone in the audience or online that wants to make a comment? Any taxing unit that wants to make a comment? Last call. Anyone that wants to make a comment? Seeing none, I'll take it back to the commission, to Bob and Joe. I think as Bob said, we don't need an action. So appreciate the information, Bob. You're more than welcome to hang on the call if you want to learn anything about the community center. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Steve and Pat and Andrew. It looks like, and I'm going to reduce you guys so I can see my new agenda here. We have got a request for application 13, requisition 22 approval reimbursement from construction funds. We have a letter from the town engineering administrator, Mr. King, endorsing Corps' construction recommendation to approve payment for application number 14 to various vendors for work completed at the Dean and Barbara White Community Center, Building Corporation Redevelopment Commission, MCC requisition number 23, review and approval payment, Redevelopment Authority, Redevelopment Commission, MCC requisition number 24, review and approval. And then Steve has got another one, a letter from the town engineering administrator regarding fund appropriations from the Broadway TIF. Oh, never mind. That one's, I got ahead of myself. So I guess, Steve, it's the first 3 items on the agenda.
Yeah, I got the approval letter for core, and then I've got the funding request. That's the 2 that I have here.
Okay.
2 letters I have.
All right. And those 2 letters, everyone should have those in the packet. It looks like this is for $150,000, Steve.
Councilman Pettit, excuse me. The first one has to do with town administration asking commission's approval to submit these previously paid bills so that we can get reimbursed from these bond proceeds. You'll recall that at a previous meeting, we submitted bills that were previously paid from various town sources prior to the issuance of the bonds. This would be the last in that group. Then Steve's follow.
Okay, so this is requisition 22, which is $150,000.
That's correct.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Pat on this one? Seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Uzelak, seconded by Mr. White to approve application number 13, requisition 22, approval reimbursement from construction funds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Minchuk, roll call, please.
Mr. Hardaway?
Yes.
Ms. Uselak?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
I am a yes. And Mr. President?
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Next item is a letter from Town Engineering Administrator endorsing Corps' construction recommendation to approve payment for application number 14 to various vendors for work completed at the Dean and Barbara White Community Center, Building Corporation Redevelopment Commission, MCC requisition number 23, review and approval. Steve?
Yes, the town's professional staff and myself have reviewed the November 2020 billing for work completed at the new Dean and Barbara White Community Center. And we concur with Core Construction's recommendation in approving payment for application number 12 to various vendors listed below in the amount of $1,580,246.00.
Okay, any discussion for Steve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. White, seconded by Mr. Uzelak to approve application number 14 to various vendors for work completed at the Dean and Barbara White Community Center and the Building Corporation Redevelopment Commission MCC requisition number 23. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Minchuk, roll call, please.
Ms. Uselak,
Yes.
Mr. White,
Yes.
Mr. Hardaway.
Yes.
I am a yes, Mr. Pettit.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. The Redevelopment Authority Redevelopment Commission MCC requisition number 24, approval and payment. Steve, is that something different? Or is that Pat?
I can answer that. You'll recall that we have the two bonds. When we pay them, there's the draws from the two separate bonds. This is part of that entire bill that was approved that Steve read. This is just how we send them down to the trustee.
Okay, so we don't need any action on that.
No, your previous action covering what would be sufficient.
All right. Next item is letter from town engineer regarding fund appropriations for the Broadway TIF for street improvements and facade rebate.
Yeah, due to under budgeting for projects payable out of the Broadway TIF for the year 2020, I'd like to request money in the amount of $20,000 be allocated to line item 306-010-363, Broadway TIF street improvement, and $58,000 Broadway from the Broadway TIF line item 306-01365 facade grant. The money is needed to pay multiple invoices involving street projects and facade rebates that have been in process or completed this year. Funds are available in the 2020 TIF fund for this. The current balance in the fund is currently $366,093.05.
Any questions for Steve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Hardaway,
Second.
seconded by Mrs. Uzelak to approve the transfer of monies in the Broadway TIF for street improvement and facade rebate. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Minchuk, roll call, please.
Ms. Uselak,
Yes.
Mr. White,
Yes.
Mr. Hardaway.
Yeah.
I am a yes, Mr. Pettit.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. The next item on the agenda, or the last item on the agenda, are several change orders at the Dean and Barbara White Community Center that we discussed last night in the committee meeting. Marge and I were there, and a lot of staff were there. Steve was there. Andrew was there. Jan was there. And so we're just going to go down this amended agenda list. And Jan and Andrew, I'm going to kind of let you lead the charge. Let's start with the facility security, the keypads and key fobs to Sweeney Electric for $13,087. Andrew, you want to take over?
Yep.
You might be muted.
No, I got it here. So added security. So this was additional door contacts, 2 additional keypads, and a additional security panel, as well as another card reader. So this would take care of all the equipment for the security to get up and running. And then we will have an additional charge, or the town will have additional charge from alert alarm to monitor, and then for their monitoring equipment. But this is just for the equipment for the security itself. It'll be $13,087.
Should we take these individually, Joe, these change orders?
Yes.
All right. Chair will entertain a motion for the keypad and key fob
So
to Sweeney
moved.
Electric.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Uzelak, seconded by Mr. White. Again, to council. Can this be a voice vote, Joe, or should it be a roll call?
Roll call.
All right. All right. Mr. Minchuk, roll call on the alert alarm change order.
Uselak,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Hardaway.
Yeah.
I am a yes, Mr. Pettit.
Yes. The next one would be that was actually for Sweeney Electric for $13,087. The next change order would be the monitoring, which is $25 a month or $300 annually to alert alarm.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion by Mrs. Uzelak, seconded by Mr. Hardaway to approve the alert alarm monthly monitoring at $25 a month. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Minchuk, roll call.
Ms. Uselak,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Hardaway?
Yeah.
I am a yes. And
Yes, I'm sorry. 5-0, motion carries. The next item was discussed at the committee meeting, ladies and gentlemen. And again, I'm going to turn to Andrew and Jan. The additional cost to purchase and install monitoring equipment to be determined. I think we were having you look into that, correct, Andrew?
Yeah, Jan, have you heard anything from Alert Alarm in regards to their final quote?
No, the only thing he sent me was the information about the emergency contact information. I have not received any invoice from him as of yet.
Okay, I'll follow up with him tomorrow and see if we can't get a final quote from him just for the monitoring portion, because he will have equipment as well as the $25 fee.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is furnishings. They're two separate items. So Joe, I'm going to take these with two separate votes. The first one is the pre-function space with HDW, the furnishings, $59,343.16. Jan, do you want to elaborate on that?
It would include the sofas and the love seats and some artwork that you would normally see walking into an event center. We worked with HDW, who followed the co-op agreement per the state, and ordering, the order would come in at the end of February if so approved.
Okay. Any questions for Jan on this? Again, we just, I know some of the members weren't there last night. Marge and I heard this discussion last night on these two items.
Yes.
Any further discussion?
Motion to approve. You need an improvement. Motion
Yes.
to approve.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So
Second.
moved.
Motion by Mrs. Uzelak, seconded by Mr. White to approve $59,343.16 to HDW Furnishings for the pre-function space at the Dean and Barbara White Community Center. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Minchuk, roll call.
Uselak,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Hardaway?
Yeah.
I am a yes. Mr. Pettit?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. The next item is the bar, which is $9,668.39 with HDW. Jan or Andrew?
Those are bar stools and the tables and chairs in the concession area.
Okay. Any questions for Jan?
Motion.
Who was that, Jeff? Jeff, did you motion? Okay. Motion by Mr. Minchuk, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Hardaway. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Minchuk, roll call.
Ms. Uselak,
Yes.
Mr. White,
Yes.
Mr. Hardaway?
Yeah.
I am a yes. Mr. Pettit?
Yes. The next item has to do with the construction side of this. As you all know, we have been graciously gifted $75,000 from the Northwest Indiana Building Trades for the inside concession area at the Dean and Barbara White Community Center. In doing so, we're having a bar built and fabricated. Andrew has a construction cost of $20,684. They will be putting the union logos on the bar top, which is going to be made out of the court wood. And then this is being fabricated, Andrew, by a vendor. Where's the vendor from?
They're out of Mishawaka. It's Precision Millwork.
And that's going to be $20,684. Is there any discussion?
Hey, Sean, Councilman Pettit, at this time, I just asked that any design of this bar be coordinated with Randy Palmetier concerning from the Northwest Indiana Construction and Building Trades Council.
All right, Andrew, will you send a set of drawings to Randy?
Yeah, yep. I will get a set of shop drawings together and make sure that Randy signs off on them before we start fabrication or anything.
All right. Chair will entertain a motion then on the bar for $20,000.
So moved.
Oh, motion by Mrs. Uzelak, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Hardaway. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Minchuk, roll call.
Ms. Uselak.
Yes.
Mr. White.
Yes.
Mr. Hardaway.
Yeah.
I am a yes, Mr. Pettit.
I'm a yes. Motion carries 5-0. The next item that we had Andrew investigate at the request of the 3 court sponsors, and we thought it was a good idea, was to hang sponsorship, I guess for lack of a better term, Andrew, name tags from the bottom of the 6 scoreboards. And Andrew has gotten us a price. This is for all 6 scoreboards, which again is Bozak Motor, Centier Bank, and NIPSCO for a cost of $12,523. These will be hung on all 6 scoreboards. You'll be able to see them from the ground as well as the elevated walking track, advertising those sponsorships. Is that correct, Andrew?
Yep, it'll be the ad display board is non-illuminated. It'll hang from the bottom of the scoreboard, and we can have that made with their logos on there.
Okay. And by the way, just to refresh everyone's memory, those 3 sponsors paid not only for the court $75,000, but they also paid for the scoreboards, which are $2,000 a piece. So they're paying $77,000 sponsorship on those courts. So
So moved. So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Uzelak.
Second.
Mr. Hardaway?
Yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Minchuk, roll call, please.
Ms. Uselak.
Yes.
Mr. White.
Yes.
Mr. Hardaway.
Yeah.
I am a yes, Mr. Pettit.
I'm a yes. Motion carries 5-0. The next item is signage that we discussed, a brass plaque. And I believe Rick is muted. Rick, if you could unmute yourself. And I believe you shared the design with everyone else. At least I hope you have. I think you have.
I have.
This is the plaque, ladies and gentlemen, that will go next to the portrait of Dean and Barbara White. And if you haven't gotten over there, you need to take a look at the outstanding job that they did, both Rick framing it and Andrew hanging this thing. This is going to be, I think they're going to be extremely pleased with what we've done out there. So we need, Rick needs a check for $5,700 to be sent to, is it company TBS, Rick?
Well, actually, the amount of the plaque, it's 40 inches by 40 inches, it's $59.28, but they only require a 50% deposit to go to work on the plaque, and we pay for it, the balance when it's finished. It's a 5 to 6 week process, so the 50% deposit shown at this time will be $29.64.
All right,
That's
so we'll amend that.
I'd like to make a motion to proceed with the entire project on that section.
Second.
You want to spend the entire, what was it, Rick, 5,900?
$59.28 and 0 cents.
All right, so we'll, what, is it okay if we send them the full amount?
I don't recommend that. I would say let's do the half deposit at $29.64 at this time.
Correct. You never want to send full payment to a vendor.
No,
until you
what I was saying
product.
is just make, hang on.
You want to amend your motion, Jeff?
Let's just make the motion for the full amount. We can always pay.
That's fine.
Okay, that's fine. So we're going to approve the plaque at $59.28. Jeff made the motion. Who seconded?
I did.
Oh, Leonard did.
Leonard did. All right. Is there any further discussion? Real briefly, Rick took the verbiage that Bruce White gave us and implemented this into the brass plaque. And this is something that the White family wanted hung next to their mom and dad's picture.
Councilman, when does this check need to be cut? Rick?
Just as soon as possible, Pat. They won't start the work until they get the check, obviously. So
Okay.
as soon as we get it to them, they can start on making the plaque.
Okay, we'll get with the clerk treasurer's office right away.
Okay. Thank you, Pat.
What's the timeline on that, Rick?
5 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, we probably need to get that as soon as we can. So in case there's
Well,
any
yeah,
delay.
as well as the others. As you saw today, I sent out another email with the cornerstone plaque. Thank you, Andrew, very much for all the information you provided. Boy, that made it easy just to kind of bang it out. I think you owe me one more email, though, when I asked about a couple vendors, make sure we have them all listed. If you reviewed it and feel comfortable with it, then I think we're good to go. I did have Attorney Svetnoff check it too late today. We made a couple tweaks, but I think it's pretty well good to go. Unless someone has a change.
Okay. Let's vote on Jeff's motion right now for the plaque to allocate the entire 5928, but it'll be split in a 50% deposit that Mr. Reardon will get the check to Rick and send off to the vendor.
Motion to approve.
It was already motioned by Jeff and seconded by you, Leonard. I just need a roll call, Jeff.
Ms. Uselak?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Hardaway?
Yeah.
I'm a yes, Mr. Pettit.
I'm a yes. Motion carries 5-0. The last item again is to Mr. Bella. Rick, this is the community center website. Cost to be determined, but you had done an RFP and you, I guess, are recommending, is it pronounced Zondor Creative?
Yes, that's correct.
And they will be creating the community center website as well as, are they going to be upgrading the town's website as well, Rick?
Yes, what I asked him to do is concentrate on the community center first, because that's of the utmost importance right now, so Jan could get her programs posted online, etc. And then he's also going to work with Matt. We did some correspondence today and incorporate the e-commerce part into the town website, which will include clerk treasurers, Sheila Shine's department, and of course, Jan.
Okay, and we don't have a cost yet on that, do we, Rick?
We have estimated costs because there's so many unanswered questions. So this will start the ball rolling. We're really just selecting the vendor at this point. And then
Okay.
after we get a more firm figure, I'll come back to the council with what that looks like.
All right, are there any questions for Rick on this item? Seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Mr. White, seconded by Mr. Hardaway to approve Zondor Creative as the website designer for the community center, and then subsequently the town's webpage as well. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Minchuk, roll call.
Ms. Uselak? Mr. White?
Yes.
Hardaway?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Ms. Uselak, are you there?
Yes. Yes vote.
Mr. Pettit?
I'm a yes as well. That motion carries. Just briefly for the benefit of the RDC, and you guys will hear this in my report during the council meeting, very pleased to announce that Mike Anderson Chevrolet is going to be the event center sponsor at the community center. They've already done their naming rights. Joe, I think you have all the paperwork you need from them, correct?
Correct. They sent it last night, Sean. I had sent it out to them earlier in the afternoon, and they sent it back directly to me. It's going to be a gift that's going to total $125,000 over 5 years.
Okay. One other item that we discussed with Andrew last night, and I talked to Joe about this as we get into these naming rights, and I had to explain to Mike Anderson was, and Rick had asked about putting any kind of name on the north face of that building where we have the other canopy that faces the mini warehouses. Due to the naming rights agreement with the White family, we cannot put any other name on any of these 4 walls on the outside of that building whatsoever. That was part of the agreement. But what we can do, Joe thinks, is that canopy on the north side, we can buy the similar illuminated letters and put event center on that canopy. So Andrew's going to look into the cost of putting that across that canopy, and we'll have a report at the next meeting. The other inquiry I got today was from Mary Hart at Horizon Bank. She is authorized to do a sponsorship. She did not say what level, but Horizon Bank is going to do a sponsorship at the community center. I don't know if it will be one of the 3 flex studios that are still available. We still have the walking path that's available. The outside concession stand is still available. The outside walking path and bridge going to Turkey Creek is available. We continue to talk with Methodist about the fitness center. Rick and I have another meeting with them on January 5th at 5:30 to take additional people from Methodist through the center. Again, if you have not been through the center, there's a lot going on. A lot of finishing work is taking place. Andrew, I can't say enough about the guys out there.
I appreciate it. It's been a fun project, and I know all the subs have had fun out here, and this is gonna be a great building for the community.
Yeah, Jan's worked hard on getting a lot of stuff put together, and I think we're still shooting for a January 8th occupancy permit, correct?
Yes, we actually got the plumbing final today. We'll have HVAC and electrical finalized on January 8th, and then we're just waiting for the state inspection on the elevator at this point. So.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Jan or for Andrew or for Steve? Okay, we're running a little late. I apologize, Mr. President. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn the RDC.
So moved.
All right, motion by Mrs. Uzelak. Recognize Mr. White with the second. We're adjourned. Mr. Bella, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Pettit. We'll call to order the meeting of the Merrillville Town